Causes of barn fires, and this might be new information for firefighters, it might not be. Faulty electrical, includes barn wiring, electrical items brought in. Fort Erie, they race in the summer, everybody's got a box fan in front. Some are good, some are bad. Extension cords right here. They're trip hazards, but okay, prime example, we did this by design. See how we got, see this, anybody see this? We got a 50-foot extension cord and we've gone 10 feet. Class Lane barn fire, that's how that started. They had a 100-foot extension cord, but they went 10 feet. So what you do is you have 90 feet that's coiled up, and those extension cords are meant to be straightened out, but they give off heat. Straightened out, they only give off this much heat. When they're balled up, they give off a lot more heat. That's what triggered it. It was something like that. And for those people that spend a lot of money on your horses, the money goes to the horses. Typically we're cheaper, or somebody will go and get an extension cord at the dollar store and plug 19 things into it. It's electrical. They don't know. It's just because some people don't know. Smoking. Smoking is a huge one. Housekeeping, cobwebs. Anybody think cobwebs can burn? They burn much like hair, but the problem is these cobwebs have been around 10 years. They have the dust, and dust is highly flammable. Tools laying around, plugged in. Refueling of storage of vehicles in barns or under the same roof. That's a major problem. Weeds and grasses around the barn. So say he's a smoker, and here's my door to my barn. This is outside. He goes, oh, shit, they're going to be right there. That's why you got to mow down the grasses and weeds. Electrical. Poor electrical systems, fuse panels old and corroded, or if we put ourselves in a hog or chicken operation, the ammonia from their urine eats away at all the electrical, eats away. Anybody been in a pig barn recently? The steel gets, it just erodes. Well, that's happening to the copper that's in the electrical as well. Old and unsafe extension cords, electrical space heaters. This one barn fire right there, 18, Elmira. It was May the 15th of 2003, 18 horses. So it was May. They had a barn fire. It was caused by a space heater, which was in a tack room, drying the blankets. What month did I say it was? May. Now, what if I was to suggest that 4 feet outside that barn, they had a laundry line? Could that have been used? May 15th? Yeah, could have been used. Yes?
Maybe I'm jumping again, but what about the solar panels?
Solar panels are a different problem, but so far haven't caused a lot of fires, but it's a problem. It's an occupational hazard that firefighters have to be aware of, because we will turn off the hydro to the barn, but that doesn't turn off the solar panels because they're energized. So that's one thing. Water bucket heaters, who keeps these the horse people? They keep these water bucket heaters since the 80s. Water pipe heaters or heat guns, they're plugged in and they're probably hanging right there because they freeze up all the time, so I just keep this close. And blow dryers, dollar store blow dryers, overloaded circuits, rodents chewed in the insulation off the wires. Conduit and proper lights are obviously the best way. Cobwebs in electrical boxes. Anybody ever go through in a barn, take these covers off? Okay, spiders get in there. Ooh, spiders, right? But they create cobwebs. Not a problem until you have a little bit of moisture in the air. Then the cobwebs now are arcing because the cobwebs carry moisture. Switches and outlets. Electrical motors, augers, fans. Anybody have automatic feeders in any barn? Anything that generates heat, our motor creates friction and heat, and the dust goes right to it, thereby creating more friction and heat because whoever cleans those out. Clothes dryers. This barn, Classy Lane, did have a washer and dryer. That was ruled out because for whatever reason they looked after it. So just like at home, so nobody ever looks after the lint trap because it's kind of a common washer and dryer. And really the purpose of this is just to kind of say, oh, maybe you can take something home afterwards and say, oh, we're going to do this or we're going to change this. No smoking. Developed a strict post signs. Make sure everyone's aware of the no smoking. Cigarettes are not your friends. Everybody nowadays are getting, not everybody, I'm not a smoker, but the counterfeit cigarettes. You know, from wherever they obtain them, we know where they're getting, but they get them. London Fire Department did a study. Normal cigarettes, they have a self-extinguishing feature, so if it's left in an ashtray, eventually it's going to go out. The counterfeit cigarettes doesn't contain that, so now it's going to continue to smolder, and they're everywhere. Housekeeping, does that make a big deal? Cut back the weeds. Do not block doorways, so that's a risk to any first responder. Hay elevators, tractors, or you want to get a horse out a door. Well, that door is now blocked because they've backed their truck in to unload their feed. and the fire's happening right now. Now I can't get any horses out, or nobody can get horses out there. UTV or side-by-side, wheelbarrows, hay, farrier equipment. Cobwebs provide a home for all the dust floating around. It's extremely flammable, and it harbors a lot of bacteria and disease for horses as well. The storage of fuel and equipment, fuel vehicles away from the barn area. Oh, one I should have added. The week after this, in the same township, the week after Class Lane barn fire, there was 9 Arabians were lost in a barn fire in Mount Forest. Because we had worked as efficiently as possible with the fire marshal the first week, they called us the second week. Now, under the same roof, you had horses, but next to the horses, you had a tractor. Now, it was winter as well because it was the second week of January. There was a tractor plugged in. The tractor had hydraulics, and it was bone-chilling cold. They had a ceramic heater underneath the tractor, plugged in with an extension cord, not a problem. But next to that, they had an oxyacetylene tank. Next to that, they had some diesel containers, fuel containers, because it seems to be their utility as well. So it comes down to economics. There's no separation. The fire happened there, and what do tractors have? Big tractor tires. That's a big fuel load, a nice big tractor tire, right? They tried to let the horses out. One horse made it halfway out the door. 3 others, open stalls, never left their stall. So 9 horses were lost. A lot because they had everything in there. No generator, but they had vehicle. You've got your tractor, fuel, barbecue, welding equipment. But it happens. We had a fire, almost a close fire. Somebody had their old gator in their cattle barn, just in the big door of the cattle barn. Well, somebody drove by and saw the sparks, smoke. Fortunately, that farmer had a chain, and he hooked onto it, and then the thing was fully engulfed. But he saved that guy's barn. Just a guy driving by and said, holy, it's getting real. Pulled in. If he didn't have a chain, could he have done that? Maybe not. Hay. Hay too high in moisture creates spontaneous ignition. The sweet spot for the moisture seems to be around 25 to 45%. That's where you're going to have your spontaneous combustion. If in doubt, purchase a moisture tester, but again, it comes down to economics. A good moisture tester is anywhere in the neighborhood $240. If somebody was to check regularly within 6 weeks of baling, anybody familiar with hay? You can tell, you get the musty smell, you can drive your hand in the, depending on the size of your bales. Big round bales, you can't. But you can get a probe, a big steel probe, and sit it in there for about 30 minutes. If you pull it out and you can still grab a hold of it, you're good. If you can't touch that, that's a problem. Animals. So critters can cause a great deal of damage. Rodents eat away at the insulation, so I've covered that, causing the wires to arc. Horses can do the same if left unprotected. If not protected, rather. Birds make nests where they feel like, including lights. Discourage that activity. And check out your arena lights for any nests. Anybody that has riding arenas? We had one, fortunately, and this bird made who knows how long the nest has been there or how many generations of birds, but the thing was huge and it ignited.